Here is your full YouTube script. If you have been dreaming about moving to Australia, working there, building a life there, or even getting permanent residency, then what I am about to share with you in the next few minutes could completely change your plans, and not in the way you are hoping. Because right now, in 2026, Australia has quietly but dramatically shifted the rules of the skilled visa game. And millions of people who thought they had a clear path forward are now finding out they were working with outdated information. So stay with me. Because whether you are a nurse, an engineer, an IT professional, a tradesperson, or a student with PR dreams, this video is going to break down exactly what has changed, what mistakes people are already making, and what you need to do right now before it is too late. Let us start with the big picture. Australia is heading into 2026 with a migration policy undergoing a major reset, not by slashing the permanent intake, but by reshaping who comes and why. SBS. That is the key phrase right there. Reshaping who comes and why. This is not the Australia of 5 years ago where you could build a comfortable points profile, lodge your expression of interest, and wait for an invitation. The system has changed fundamentally, and people who are not paying attention right now are going to get left behind. The competition has intensified, the thresholds have gone up, new visa categories have replaced old ones, and the government has made it crystal clear that they are only interested in bringing in people who fill genuine, real, urgent labor shortages in the country. So what exactly has changed? Let me walk you through it step by step in a way that is going to make total sense, even if you have never applied for a visa in your life. First, let us talk about the brand new visa that is replacing one of the most popular pathways people have been using for years. The Skills in Demand visa, which replaces the old 482 TSS visa, continues to shape work-related migration in 2026. On Ederland. Now, if you are planning your future around the old 482, you need to understand that the entire framework has shifted. This new system is designed to match workers with real labor shortages. It offers more flexibility and clearer pathways, especially for highly skilled professionals, making it easier to transition to long-term or permanent residency. Still Creek Land Care. But here is the catch, and this is the part most people gloss over. The flexibility comes with higher standards. This is not a visa you can slide into with a generic resume and a basic points score. The system is now far more targeted, far more scrutinized, and far more demanding than anything we have seen before. And then there is the salary issue. This one is hitting people hard, especially employers who sponsor skilled migrants and workers who thought they had already locked in their arrangements. The Australian government has confirmed upcoming increases to the minimum income thresholds for employer-sponsored skilled visas, with new rates taking effect from 1st July 2026. The adjustments reflect a 3.9% rise, consistent with changes to average weekly ordinary time earnings. TANS law. So what does that actually mean in dollars? The threshold is increasing from AUD 76,515 to AUD 79,499. This applies to the Skills in Demand Core Skills stream and the Employer Nomination Scheme. For specialist skills, the threshold is increasing from AUD 141,210 to AUD 146,717. TANS law. Now you might be thinking, okay, that is not a massive jump. But think about this from an employer's perspective. If they were planning to sponsor you at a salary just above the old threshold, that nomination may now fall below the new minimum, which means they either have to pay you more or they cannot nominate you at all. Employers should factor the proposed increases in annual earnings into their 2026-2027 workforce planning, review salary bands for roles likely to be nominated under these visa programs from 1st July 2026, and ensure internal stakeholders are aligned on the payroll and immigration strategies required to maintain compliance. Baker McKenzie. If your employer is not aware of this, your visa nomination could be at risk right now. Here is where things get even more serious. Employers should review their current subclass 482 and 494 nomination pipelines and consider fast-tracking eligible applications for lodgement before 1st July 2026, so they may be assessed under the current settings. Baker McKenzie. In other words, the clock is ticking. If you or your employer delays even a few weeks, you could be subject to higher requirements and stricter conditions. That window is closing faster than most people realize. Now let us talk about the points-based system and the changes that are making thousands of people's carefully planned pathways suddenly look a lot less secure. Australia's skilled migration system in 2026 is more competitive, more targeted, and more strategically complex than it has been in recent memory. Shri Krishna Consultants. The government has refined the points test to focus on things that actually matter to the labor market. Greater importance is now given to real work experience, strong English language skills, and occupation relevance. This means applicants with hands-on experience and industry-relevant skills are at an advantage. Still Creek Land Care. If you were relying heavily on age points or qualification points from a degree in a field that is not actively in shortage, you are going to find that the competition has moved past you while you were not looking. And about that occupation list, this is something people absolutely need to check right now. Healthcare, engineering, education, ICT, and trade occupations are the top in-demand industries in Australia in 2026. IDP education. According to the 2025 occupation shortage list, 139 occupations have been in persistent shortage every year from 2021 to 2025, and shortages remain concentrated in skilled, qualified roles, not entry-level jobs. IDP education. So, if your occupation falls outside these priority areas, the reality is stark. Applicants outside these priority areas may find it more difficult to secure a visa. Still Creek Land Care. This is not a warning for the future. This is what is happening right now, today, in 2026. Let us also talk about something that is catching a lot of people completely off guard: visa hopping. You know that strategy where someone comes in on a student visa, then switches to a work visa, then tries to transition to something more permanent? Australia has officially cracked down on this. From February 2026, Australia implemented a suite of rules aimed at improving the integrity of the visa system, reducing so-called visa hopping. The Australian government is tightening how easy it is to switch between visa categories onshore. Spontaneous switches, for example, from casual visitor to study to work to PR without clear intent, are more likely to be scrutinized or refused. On Ederland. This is a massive change. If you or someone you know has been bouncing between visas while trying to buy time, that strategy is now extremely dangerous. Your application could be refused, and you could find yourself in a very difficult situation with limited options. Now let us talk about the regional pathway, because this is actually one of the best-kept secrets in the entire Australian migration system right now, and not enough people are taking it seriously. Australia's regional workforce gaps continue to widen. The government's push toward regional settlement is strategic, and this will push 2026 toward higher incentives for regional migration, especially for the 491 visa. AUS's group, the subclass. 191 Permanent Residence Regional remains one of the least competitive PR pathways. Expect more migrants to choose 491 intentionally as the fastest route to PR in 2026. AUS's group. So, if you have been focused only on Sydney or Melbourne, you might be fighting for one of the most competitive and limited visa places available, when a regional pathway could get you to permanent residency faster with less competition through states like South Australia, Tasmania, Western Australia, and regional New South Wales and Queensland. And for those of you who are international students, or parents of students planning to study in Australia, there is a massive update you need to hear. After 2 years of attempts to rein in student numbers, the government will adopt a more moderate stance in 2026. The target intake will rise from 270,000 in 2025 to 295,000 in 2026, even as stricter visa checks remain in place. SBS More Places sounds like good news, but stricter checks mean the documentation requirements have gone up significantly. Evidence requirements for student visa applications from India, Nepal, Bangladesh, and Bhutan were raised to the highest tier, meaning more documentation is required. Student visa application fees have also increased to AUD $2,000 for the base application charge. Onderland. If you are applying from one of these countries and you do not have your documentation in perfect order, your application is going to face serious delays or outright rejection. Here is the biggest mistake people are making right now. They are planning their Australian future based on information that is 6 months, 1 year, or even 2 years old. They found a YouTube video or a blog post from 2024 that told them exactly which visa to apply for, which occupation list their job was on, and what salary threshold they needed to meet. And they are still following that outdated roadmap in 2026, not realizing that almost every single one of those details has changed. And by the time they find out, they have already wasted months, sometimes years of preparation, and possibly a significant amount of money. For anyone currently holding a student visa and planning their pathway to permanent residency, anyone with an active expression of interest in Skill Select, or anyone assessing their eligibility, understanding these changes and acting before they take effect is the most time-sensitive migration decision of 2026. Shri Krishna Consultants. So what should you actually do right now? First, go and verify that your occupation is still on the current skilled occupation list for Australia in 2026. Check the Department of Home Affairs website directly, not a third-party summary from last year. Second, if you are being employer-sponsored, have an urgent conversation with your employer about whether your salary meets the new thresholds coming in on 1st July 2026, and whether your nomination needs to be lodged before that date. Third, if you have been considering the regional pathway, stop putting it off. The regional states are actively filling their allocation spots, and they will not wait. Fourth, if you are an international student, get your documentation sorted now because the evidence requirements have gone up and the processing environment is stricter than it has ever been. And fifth, speak to a registered migration agent, not just any online consultant, but someone who is actually registered with the Migration Agents Registration Authority in Australia, who is working with the latest 2026 information. The 2026 reforms represent a shift toward quality-driven migration policies designed to support long-term economic stability. As the system becomes more targeted, competition among applicants is expected to increase. Candidates who invest in professional growth and skill development will remain well-positioned. Handmade watercolors. The bottom line is this: Australia is still one of the best countries in the world to build a skilled career and a permanent future. The opportunities are real, the demand for skilled professionals is genuine, and the pathways are there. But the days of a simple, relaxed, one-size-fits-all approach to skilled migration are over. The game has changed in 2026, and the people who are going to win are the ones who understand the new rules, act early, and position themselves strategically. If this video opened your eyes to something you did not know before, please give it a thumbs up because it genuinely helps this information reach the people who need it most. Subscribe to this channel if you want to stay updated with the latest migration news and visa changes. We break it all down in plain language so you never get left behind. And drop a comment below and tell me, what is your occupation and which visa pathway are you exploring right now? I read every single comment, and I will do my best to point you in the right direction. This is your future we are talking about. Do not let outdated information cost you the life you have been working so hard to build.